Welcome to Satsang Conversations, where we journey across the world to the serene and sacred spaces of BAPS Mandirs. This podcast is your gateway to exploring profound spiritual lessons that echo through time, yet remain incredibly relevant to our everyday lives. Each episode brings heartfelt discussions, wisdom, and insights that help us navigate the challenges of modern life with a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and connection. So whether you're seeking inspiration, solace, or a spark to light up your spiritual path, join us as we dive into conversations that uplift the soul and enrich the heart. This week, we travel to the BAPS Swaminarayan Mandir near Atlanta, Georgia, to join Pujya Shukmuni Swami and Pujya Munitilak Swami as they discuss lessons from the life and work of Pujya Premanand Swami.
So, Akshar, a few days ago, you had asked me during the Ravi Sabha which Paramhans I was fond of. As you know, my background of singing. And I mentioned to you that Premanand Swami was someone who really touched me. And even today fascinates me, very intrigued by his devotion to Bhagwan Swaminarayan. And the reason behind Premanand Swami is that when you learn about his background, it wasn't a simple background like normal children grow up with. And after he was born, within a few weeks, he was abandoned by his parents. And then he was picked up by some couple who thereafter, they nurtured him, they raised him. And in his first meeting of Bhagwan Swaminarayan in Jetpur, as a youth, he was very taken aback by the aura, the divinity of Maharaj. And he then thereafter, again, he met Maharaj in Gadara. And that's when he decided that this is it, I want to stay here. And Maharaj actually tells him that you should go to Ujjain and study Pingal Vidya. And so that's again a Sangit of a higher level in which it's got the classical as well as all the ragas that, the likes of Tansen and everybody, they had mastered. And he, without a moment's delay, any doubt, no question, he left. And he masters music. He comes back after a few years. And then Shriji Maharaj, he says to him that now you've come back, I'm going to ordain you, I'll initiate you. And Maharaj, he gives him Diksha. Now, on one side, you see that he was a master in music. And Shriji Maharaj instantly, once after Diksha, tells him that now you put your sarangi aside, you leave your pen with me, no singing, no writing poems. And Nij Bodhanand, that's the name Maharaj gave him, he asks Maharaj, why? You're the one who sent me to learn, to study. I've come back after mastering it. Maharaj says that, trust me. Just do as I say, just trust me. And Nij Bodhanand, he just does not pick up his sarangi again. He doesn't write any bhajans. Maharaj tells him that you should reside on the Gela, on the banks of river Gela, and do samagam of Nishkran Swami. At the same time, learn Sanskrit. Now, these are two opposites. You've just come back as if you've built a new future, and Maharaj is stopping you. And then he tells you to do something else. After 8 months, now he would go for Maharaj's darshan. Up teen times, Maharaj would go to the banks of Gela, and Maharaj would also, meet him. But not once did he in his mind think that why did Maharaj initially tell me to stop? 8 months later, Maharaj calls him and says to him that, it's been a very long time. I haven't heard you sing. I haven't heard you play your sarangi. Today's the day. Please perform. Maharaj gives him the sarangi back. And Premanand Swami, he raises it in front of Maharaj and asks Maharaj to place his hands on it, which Maharaj does. And then Premanand Swami, he sits and then he starts to sing his bhajan. Now, the reason why I said at that time, that he fascinates me. Even when you sing his bhajans, or even if you read his bhajans, you really find what true Sharanagati is. When a person, a mumukshu, an aspirant on the path of attaining God, what is he or she actually meant to be doing? And Premanand Swami, from his life, he teaches us that surrenderance at the feet of God or the Guru is key. And along with that, through Premanand Swami, you see the climax of devotion, bhakti. At the same time, you see utmost humility, atyanta namrata. And these three qualities actually, they pave the path of spirituality for any aspirant. And I would say, through whatever knowledge that I have been able to grasp and read or hear, that Sanatan Hindu Dharma, the key point or the essence is faith in God, trust in God, love in God. Sharanagati, bhakti, and namrata. And Premanand Swami's life, through and through, all the bhajans you see, going ahead with his life again, like I mentioned, that after he started singing according to Maharaj's Agna, and then he writes these bhajans. On one side, there's absolute talent. There's a flair in music, which was second to none. And why I say that is that when Maharaj was in Junagadh, now the Mandir of Junagadh had just been inaugurated, and the Nawab, Bahadur Khan, he was very touched by Brahmanand Swami's life. And another sadhu that he was touched by was Gopalanand Swami. Because Maharaj had kept them both there, they would liaise in the construction of the Mandir. And Bahadur Khan, the Nawab, he was very, very happy to see these very pious, very, very noble, saintly souls. And he had a nice affiliation. The Pratishta then finished. The Nawab in his heart always felt that if these sadhus are so genuine, so pure, then how genuine and pure must the master be? And he had this inner wish that Maharaj comes to Junagadh, which he did for the Pratishta. And then he invites Maharaj to the palace. And at the palace, Maharaj comes with the Paramahansas, the Bhaktos, and then the Nawab, the king, he offers Maharaj the throne to sit. Then he honors Sriji Maharaj with a garland, with gifts, etc., etc. And he has these special musicians of the darbar who are also seated there. And he had also told them that, we are inviting Bhagwan Swaminarayan and I'd like you to perform. And so they performed these wonderful ghazals in Urdu. And Maharaj was happy. Paramahansas were seated, Bhaktos were seated, they were also happy. But the Nawab then he says to Sriji Maharaj that, Maharaj, I've heard that your Paramahansas, they're also very good singers. Would you mind if they would sing to us? And Maharaj, he just looks at Premanand, just a look. And Premanand Swami immediately, instantly, he sings Ashko Diyari Ve. And the second verse is Dikhla Didara Pyara. Again, a famous bhajan which Yogi Charan Swami and santos have often sung and which we've sung as well. And the king is just taken aback. He's just, in the British way, gobsmacked. And he doesn't know that, wow, these swamis, these sadhus, these paramahansas, what talent they have. And the king, he's just got tears in his eyes. Premanand Swami, he's singing away, engrossed in Maharaj's murti, one with Sriji Maharaj. Even he's shedding tears and the atmosphere is just magical. Once he finishes, the king, he stands up from his throne He goes to Shriji Maharaj, he thanks him, then he goes to Premanand Swami and he starts prostrating before him. And Premanand Swami stops him and he says that, look, this is not right. Like there's a sarangi and there's a player to the sarangi, I'm only an instrument. And the real singer is Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Talent, ability, that he could please people. On another occasion, the same king, all these singers from Gwalior, they came to the darbar in Junagadh and they wanted to perform in front of him. So the king says to them, he goes, look, I've listened to Swaminarayan's Paramahansas, sadhus. I don't listen to any other Sangeet. If you're better than them, then perform. So they're just like puzzled as to what to do. And then the king says, look, you go to Gajara and sing in front of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. And before you do that, listen to the Paramahansas. If you're better than them, then you sing to Bhagwan Swaminarayan and then you come here. So these Gwalior musicians, it was something new for them. They weren't expecting it because they were like pleasing many kings and queens and ministers around the nation. And they go to Gajara. It's an evening atmosphere. Bhagwan Swaminarayan seated there under the limru. Paramahansas on one side, Haribhaktas on the other side. The Sangeetagna santos like Premanand, Muktanand, Brahmanand, they're also there. And the Gwalior musician group, they walk into the sabha. Somebody tells Maharaj, Maharaj, these special singers have come. Maharaj, he welcomes them, he seats them down, and he asks them that, why are you here? And they say to Maharaj that, we've heard from the king of Junagadh that your sadhus, they sing so well. Is there any chance that we can hear them right now? Again, Maharaj looks at Premanand Swami and he says to Premanand Swami, please sing. Now, look at the courtesy, the humility, the bhakta-panu. And when we mentioned earlier Sharanagati, he asks Maharaj, okay, Maharaj, which rag should I sing? And Maharaj, he says to him instantly, sing Rag Bhairav. So the Gwalior musicians seated in front, they started laughing that, hey, I don't think Bhagwan Swaminarayan knows that Bhairav Raag is meant to be sung specifically in the morning. And it's evening. And so they'd already given maybe 25 out of 100 that this is not going to work. And then Premanand Swami, again, without a moment's delay, he starts to sing the notes of Bhairav Raag. Instantly, the atmosphere changes. The morning birds, they start chirping. And it all illuminates, it's bright, and these Gwalior musicians are just stunned. What were they just witnessing was something that never was imaginable. Going back, he had talent, he had intelligence, he had an ability, he had power in music, that he could change the atmosphere. But that same Premanand Swami, he could humbly say to the king that I'm nothing. Whatever it is, it's Bhagwan Swami. The bhajan, rasiya mein to Sharan tihari. I like that bhajan very much, and I personally feel it allows each one of us to sort of engage ourselves internally with Bhagwan Swaminarayan. And in this bhajan, rasiya mein to Sharan tihari, excuse my voice, it's not that good, but I'll try singing it. Rasiya मैं तो शरण तिहारी, मैं तो शरण तिहारी, नहीं साधन बल वचन चातुरी, नहीं साधन बल वचन चातुरी, ek bharoso, ek bharoso, charan girdhari. मैं तो शरण तिहारी. What does he say? हो रसिया मैं तो शरण तिहारी. Hey Bhagwan, I have come totally surrendered at your feet. But the next line is very interesting. Nahi sadhan bal vachan chaturi. That I don't have any strength in any of my endeavors. I don't have any power. Vachan chaturi, I have no eloquence, I have no clever words with which I can narrate or describe. Ek bharose charane girdari. That the one thing I know is that I have submitted myself in total at your feet. I take your refuge. He says, I have no intelligence, I have no ability, I have no strength, I have no power, I have no eloquence. Look at the other two examples I gave earlier, singing in front of the Nawab and singing with Maharaj's Agana in Gujarat. He has so much, and yet he constantly felt that what I am is because of Maharaj. There is nothing in me. Nahi sadhan bal vachana chaturi ek bharose charane girdari. That I'm fully surrendered to you. Because he used to believe, like he said to the Nawab, if there's an instrument, there has to be a player. God has only made me an instrument, but Maharaj is the actual player. That's the humility I see, that's the Sharanagati I see, that's the climax of bhakti, again from this one line.
The first two lines in that just one bhajan, one devotional song, one poem. And like you said, Swami, he's felt this kind of throughout his entire life. You can see that Sharanagati. It's not just giving, the way that he has given himself to Maharaj. There's an ease to which Premanand Swami is able to surrender and give himself to Maharaj. And with the Krishna Bhagwan example, I just think it's so with the Arjun example, where he has all this talent and all this skill, and he's able to, if what he's been training his entire life for is now in front of him, this war. He's a warrior, the war is in front of him, and all the talent, all the skill, all the training, this is when it needs to come to fruition. This is when he needs to be able to do it. And all of a sudden he's feeling the pressure of all of that. This, all these great words that everyone has told him, that no one can defeat you in 3 worlds, and you're going to be the greatest archer. That pressure is what weighs him down. And you gave the example, Swami, when in our life, that's the same thing. We're trained and we grow and we collect skills and accolades, and we try to, and then there's a point in time where there's a weight, the pressure of that weighs us down, and we're not able to move forward. And I think, it reminded me of this quote from Pramukh Swami Maharaj, where he says, if you take a pot of water and you put it on your head and you're walking, you're going to feel the weight of that pot of water. But instead, what if you just took a dive in the ocean? There's more tons and tons of water, and the water pressure is even greater than a pot of water, but you don't feel that pressure because you dove into the water being God himself, or the Ekantik Sant. If we surrender ourselves to the ocean being God or the Ekantik Sant, then you don't feel that pressure anymore. And I think that's the difference between what we can see in Premanand Swami's story and the shift in Arjun's story, when he finally says, Karishe vachanam tava, I'm going to do what you say, I'm going to surrender to your will. That's when you see this ease that takes over. And that's when the skill kicks in. That's when he's able to perform. And I think that's very true for all of us in life. When either if it's at work, or if it's in our professional life or personal life or a mandir, we all feel certain pressure. The pressure is self-inflicted because we think we're the ones who are doing it, or it's our skill that has to take us through to the end. But I know in my personal life, when I have a difficult, presentation coming up in front of, some executives or some C-suite, level professionals, before I start a call or before I head into that meeting, I'll take a minute, I'll do prarthana, I'll think about Maharaj and Swami, and I'll just remember, okay, whatever I am is due to them. Whatever is going to happen will happen due to their grace, due to their will. And it just releases that tension. It takes the pressure off of me, and I put it on Swami, I put it on Maharaj, and then I no longer am tied to the result, and that pressure is no longer there. And I think that's a very practical application of Premanand Swami's life, of this present with Arjun.
I think one of the other aspects is that within the Hindu Sanatana Dharma scriptures, stories, and so forth, we're able to depict that even God himself has surrendered at some point. For example, in the Ramayana, right? When the news comes that Bhagwan Sri Ram needs to be exiled for 14 years, he had the veto power of saying either A, no, or his father, Dashrath, had the veto power of saying no. But to keep someone's promise, Dashrath had to keep that promise. But Ramchandra Bhagwan never for one hesitated to say, I surrender. It's okay. I'll take it and I'll run with it. So when you look at different aspects of our scriptures, we are blessed that we have moral stories to guide us in this surrendership, right? Fast forward to even daily practical life. We surrender every day, whether it's getting in a Tesla that's driven by itself, and you're just sitting there and you just have to look straight and say, take me from point A to point B. Or if you have a mentor and you're trying to learn that art, like you said, Sangeet Swami, right? Pujya Sagar Swami has said for many years, to attain the sa, just one note, it takes decades, even a lifetime to hit that note, pitch perfect, etc. But there are people that surrender themselves to this sadhana and sometimes don't even hit it. So I think Premanand Swami's, life teaches all of us that if you surrender to the right person or to the right initiative, there are fruits there, but you have to be humble along the way to say, it's not because of me, it's because of Maharaj and Swami in this situation, or of the situation that you become successful. And I think I take that every day in my life to say, whatever I'm going to do today, there's no script for it. I'm just going to trust it happens, and it happens well. If there is a setback, then we just learn from it and go the next day. Because if you can't surrender yourself in any direction, whether it's spiritually, professionally, personally, even at home, as a father, I feel it as well, that sometimes I have to pick my battles of where I surrender or don't surrender, right? But if I don't pick the right initiative or the right conversation to surrender in, it's a setback for me, because then it's going to take me a longer time to actually feel either what my children are feeling or my spouse is feeling or anyone in my family is feeling. So, some of these aspects I take from Premanand Swami and I see it in my daily life as we're talking, and it's now visually in my life.
Visual acceptance. In reality, when something happens, we don't accept it. For example, you have a failure, then you always want an answer that why did that happen? I did everything. But just accept it. Look, you failed.
Or we want to blame somebody else.
Or you want to blame somebody else. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So, when you are someone there to attain God, then these things have to be a part of our life, even our daily lives. Even as grahasthas, householders, day in, day out, some things, they don't happen your way. You've bought a new house and you've started living in the house and the roof leaks.
I'm going through that, by the way.
Oh, you are?
Thanks.
And then the roof leaks. What happens? What do you do?
You put a tarp and you do it every night that doesn't leak anymore.
Normally, we want to blame the contractor. We want to do this. We want to do that. Accept it. Do the needful. If you accept, you won't have arrogance. If you accept, you won't have impatience. If you accept, there will be a smoother way you can answer the issue at hand. And Premanand Swami, કોઈ question નહીં સ્વામી. એટલે હું કહું છું ને કે એને અંતરની અંદર કેટલી બધી મહારાજ પ્રત્યેની કે જે કાંઈ થાય છે ને એ શ્રીજી મહારાજની ઈચ્છાથી જ થાય છે.
Swami, I want to throw a curveball of a question to you Pujya Santos at the moment. And that, understand surrendering in different ways. What made you or inspired you to surrender yourself to Pramukh Swami Maharaj at the tender age of your teenage years at that point?
I think I really don't know, but the one thing I know was the selfless love that he showered upon. I'm talking about myself personally. Whenever he came to the UK from 1970 onwards, every trip 74, 77 and 80, Yogi Bapa in 70 and Pramukh Swami 74 onwards. But I never thought twice that, I feel young or will I fit in or not. Like I said, the satsang was in our house and we were told that Bhagwan will look after you, the Guru will look after you if you remain to be theirs. Like Premanand Swami, at the end, he says, Nija jana jani sambharoge pritam. Sing it.
So this bhajan has many rags to it. So
choose your rag.
That's the beautiful power of rags, right? निज जन जानी संभालोगे प्रीतम प्रेम सखी नित जाए बलिहारी हो रसिया में तू शरण तिहारी.
So निज जन जानी संभालोगे प्रीतम. के Premanand Swami is saying that Maharaj, understand me to be yours. Nijajan, your own. Nijajana jani sambharoge pritam, look after me. Like a mother, even if the child is very young, she will look after him, whatever mistakes he may make or she may make, or whatever good or bad she or he does. The mother, the father will always look after their child. But Premanand Swami had that faith. Like I mentioned, for us, we were taught that God will look after you, the Guru will look after you. Then you don't have to worry. Premanand Swami na bhajan ma pan e jayo, nij jana jani sambharoge pritam prema sakhi nitya jaye balihari. That I sacrifice myself in totality with devotion, with surrenderance, with my whole heart. And then Maharaj looked after him. Amara case, I'm sure, Swami, all our 1200 sadhus, we feel it so deeply that Maharaj, Bapa and Mahant Swami are looking after us each step of the way. It's a given, I think, even for Hari Bhaktas. But Amne Santone to, when we've renounced the world, and then Bapa, he has never let me feel hopeless or lost or alone. Never.
Very similar to what Pujya Shukmuni Swami is saying, but I'll go a little bit deeper. As both of you know, Swami knows also that through my process, I was in sadhak for 5 years before getting Diksha in 99. And so that entailed many health concerns or health reasons why I had to go to Bombay and Saranpur and Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar and different places. And through this process, the doubt does creep in one's mind, because when you're not well, when you're, basically not well, not getting better, people are telling you different things, doctors are telling you different things. You want to tell somebody, right? And so who do you tell? You tell your Guru. And so after many trips, and we were in Gondal, we had a chance to go to Gondal with Bhairav Raag Swami. And this was after Ankut. So he goes to Pramukh Swami, and I'm sitting next to him. He goes, Swami, Saranpur, abhyas bagade che. he's not able to stay in Saranpur to do his studies. He keeps having to go in different places. Why are you making him go through all of this? And Swami, he looked at both of us and he goes, Ade rognu garche. The body.
Typical Bapa.
Right? Typical Swami, right? Ade rognu garche. The body is a house of disease. And it wasn't the first time he said it. He said it to me a few years before in 90, after 95 Samayo, in 90s. Yeah, 95 Amrit Motso, because Evakate, and that time we sat down to decide what are we going to do? He said, you stay. So, and we just looked at him. Again, what do you say to that? And he goes, Jo, cataract operation. He did this. We know that he had to take a tumor out of his top bun, right? He goes like this, arthritis, and things like that. Bun, sometimes it doesn't set, right? And it, fast forward a few more years of treatment and things like that. And he helps us understand that you have to surrender to his will. You have to surrender to his will. And that's not, in the result of that, it's not diksha, but for us to understand by going through all of these different obstacles and hurdles, I was able to come to realize that Sharanagati is one thing, but karta, he's the controller of everything and everyone. And, after being told that diksha is happening and things like that, I made a promise to him as well at the same time that, hey, there'll never be a doubt, what you've done. Now I understand the purpose of what I had to go through the fight. So everyone has their thing, but he always looks after. And I was a sadhak. Think about that, right? Who was looking after the airfare, not the airfare, the train fare, the bus fare, the doctor bills and things like that. Before I got to Bombay, there'd be Swami had already called him or had written him a letter to Kotai that he's coming, take care of everything. And that's before Diksha. Think about that. So, when we say that the Satpurush is looking after all 1200, it's not beyond 1200. It's all of the whole entire Satsang Samudaya as well.
We've all been blessed since almost birth or a young age to have that opportunity to be in Swamishi's presence, whether it's in a sabha, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's through shibirs, etc. And while not worthy, but lucky, I was able to feel that love for many years. Anytime I met Pramukh Swami Maharaj, whether I went to him or he came here, wherever it is, he would always say, "Aradu aiyo." And even just 2 or 3 years back, Premanand Swami, who's in Ahmedabad, who was Bapa's reporter for many years, he told me the prasang that whenever you would come from US, Baba would always make sure the night before, he remembered that ek wakat gaadi ma Baba said, in a bhojan fave che. And I said, Parama, I didn't know any of this. He goes, Tane kya thi khabar hoy? We never told you, but he was looking after.
I was sharing a story of my own, a prasang with Mahant Swami Maharaj of my own. I'll share one prasang of Pramukh Swami first to give you a sense of I think similar to all of you, I've been fortunate. I've been able to travel with Pramukh Swami and I've sat in Pramukh Swami's lap when I was a kid. Pramukh Swami named me. I had a very tight bond with Pramukh Swami. First as a father and second as a guru. I would say he was first, a father figure in my life. And I remember this moment in 2000 when Pramukh Swami was in Atlanta. Lunch had just finished and Pramukh Swami was meeting all the Hari Bhakta. And I was the last, we were the last people in line. And finally we made our way up through the line to see Pramukh Swami. And Pramukh Swami was sitting there on the sofa. He had the rostrum in front of him. And the santos had moved the rostrum because there was no one left in line except for us. So then my dad took me to Bapa and I had so much that I wanted to share to say to Bapa, and I saw Bapa and everything just seized up. like it normally does. Just, there's so much divinity there. There's so much, you just all of a sudden everything seized up. And then I started crying again in front of Pramukh Swami. Just so much emotion built up. So Bapa like called me forward. Matam hat mukyo. He's like, he kind of showered me with this love and affection. He goes, Sukam rade che. He goes, Tu to maro che, tare tomari sathe javanu che. And it was such a powerful moment. And that was the relationship I had with Pramukh Swami. And similar to what Aksharbai was saying is when in 2016, when Pramukh Swami passed away, it was very jarring. It was, losing a father figure, losing our guru. And I hadn't spent that type of time with Mahant Swami Maharaj before. I had spent a lot of time with Pramukh Swami, now with Mahant Swami Maharaj. And so there was still this kind of disconnect, this love that I had felt from Pramukh Swami so personally. Now I'm in a different stage of my life. I'm an adult. How do I recreate this with Mahant Swami? And I remember, after Pramukh Swami passed away, Mahant Swami Maharaj was in Saranpur, and then I think it was maybe a month or two later, Swami made his way to Bhavnagar. And I was in India at the time, and I had an opportunity to go and have a personal mulakat with Mahant Swami. And I kind of opened up to him and I said, Ke Swami mane tamara ma Jordan jevu thavu joye એવું થતું નથી હજી. And I was very open, and Swami listened to me. And it's a very kind of a jarring thing to hear, like tamara ma Jordan nathi. He's like, okay, that's what I was thinking his reaction was going to be. And he looked at me with the same kind of affection and love and compassion that Pramukh Swami would, and he said, he goes, don't worry about that. He goes, Ke mara ma Jordan karvu એ મારું કામ છે, એ હું કરીશ, તારે ચિંતા નથી કરવાની. And at that time, I remember feeling the same kind of, that I wasn't lost anymore or helpless. Something that, Shukmuni Swami, you said earlier, that Pramukh Swami never allowed you to feel helpless or lost. And that's the difference of surrendering to the Guru, is he takes us in, he accepts us as we are. And then there's a power to that. There's this connection that's developed that enables us to do more and feel more than we ever could on this kind of spiritual journey. But I think, and I'm curious about what you guys think, usually when we think about the word surrenderance, it has a certain connotation. When we think about refuge, that has a certain connotation. Outside of the spiritual realm, if you think about the word surrenderance or refuge, it usually means it's coming from a place of you're less than, or there's a weakness, and in all of our stories, I think you don't feel that. I'm curious what you guys think about that idea of, what's the difference? What do you guys, what's the difference between surrendering in our day-to-day lives? Aksharbai, you mentioned we have to surrender every day, either to our bosses or to our wives or to our family in some way or the other. But when we give ourselves to the Guru or to God, something's different. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's a strength rather than a weakness. Because you have that faith at the end of the day that he will only do your good. When is a person weak, or when is he feeling uncomfortable, is when there is that little fear. When we surrender as a bhakta to God, it's with faith and trust that he's not going to lead me astray. Whatever he says to me, it's only going to do my good. And at the end of the day, if he's the doer, like Premanand Swami in the bhajan and his prasangs, he shows to us that if the Guru is the doer, and even then, he believes that he's nothing. Bhagwan is the doer. And that's a remarkable concept. It's a reality. કે એ પોતે નથી, જે કહે છે ભગવાન જ છે, એવું ગુરુ પણ માને છે. Why I say this, a question that you just asked, this may help answer it. Many years back, Professor Raymond Williams, he was writing that book, Swaminarayan Hinduism, A New Face of Hinduism. And then it was going for its second edition. and he asked many questions to Pramukh Swami. He was traveling in South India that time. And in one of the questions that he asked Pramukh Swami is that, Swami, it's very strange that, you, to Pramukh Swami, he's saying that you are a sadhu. You have not educated yourself in the worldly way. You haven't gone through 10th grade or even 11th and 12th, or leave alone university. And you've never worked. And yet people come to you with their questions, their problems, their issues. They ask you things like, Swami, what type of a business should I embark upon? Or there's someone who's asking about their financial situation. And there's somebody saying that, Swami, I have an ill parent, what should I do? The doctor's saying this. I had a second opinion. The other doctor's saying that. What should I choose? You're giving answers to your people. 750,000 letters in his lifetime he read and replied back to. That's staggering. Yeah. And he used to say himself, right, Bapa, that not one of those letters is about happiness or joy. Somebody has a problem, somebody has an issue, somebody has a question. They had the freedom to write to him, and he had the love to reply back to them. So he's saying to Pramukh Swami, this is Raymond Williams, that, from all walks of life, from education, you have to choose their universities. They're asking you to choose the subjects for them. The trust and faith the people have in you, and you yet have not learned or done anything of this. And yet you give them a reply. They are so happy. They're so convinced. But is there any time in your life, at the back of your mind, you feel that, look, I should have told him, actually, you should have gone to this university and not that? Or you should have approached this medical doctor and not that one? Do you feel that regret or that feeling that, you should have given him the other choice? Pramukh Swami Maharaj said, no. God is the inspirer. He inspires me, and I say what God inspires me to say. It's just amazing. Like I said, he is everything for all of us. He feels he is nobody because he feels Bhagwan is everything. In 1988, we were in Lusaka with Bapa, and there was a TV interview from the national TV, and it was all prepared in the sense of, the scheduling, the timing, the day. And Pramukh Swami Maharaj was told at 4:30 that late afternoon that at 5 o'clock you have an interview. And, Swami always used to show a lot of dislike for anything like this. It wasn't because it was last minute, but he just didn't like all this interviews and, news reporters coming to him and everything. He used to, because we all organized it for him, and, then he would, he would go into it. So at 5 o'clock was the interview. Everything was set up. Yogi Charan Swami, he set up. So the two guys that came from the national TV with the tripod, the camera, the guy was going to ask the questions. Yogi Charan Swami, Dharmavatsal Swami, both of them, they sat with them. They set everything up. Bapa's asan, which was a hindora. And next to the hindora was a pedestal on which Thakurji was to be placed. So they were mindful of all the requirements and needs, and Bapa the first thing he would ask is Thakurji, right? So through their experience, they knew, and it was all set. They'd look through the camera, and everything was ready. Bapa walks in at 5 sharp. He asks me first that, did you place Thakurji on the asan? So I said, yes. And I did, actually, yeah, I'm not lying. And I did place him. Then I said, Bapa, padraiva che and bajuma besarya che. And he always wanted Thakurji's asan higher than his. Even that was, taken care of. So there were no questions about Thakurji's Maryada and Bapa's Maryada here. So he sat down, and, there's that hanging mic. Yeah, that was placed. And Swami is looking straight to the camera, and Yogi Charan Swami very politely, courteously comes to Bapa. He tells him, Bapa, there's 5 questions. He will ask in English. Dharmavatsal Swami will translate to you in Gujarati. and you reply back. Tamara camera ma joવાનું છે. Very simple instructions, nothing more. Bapa was habituated by this anyway. There was nothing new. And then Swami sat, he's facing the camera, he's looking, and the person, the reporter asking the questions was sitting there. Santos were close by. Dharmasal Swami was out of the camera angle, but near Baba. And then the crewman, he says that, ready? And everyone says, yes, he's ready. So he goes, 3, 2, 1. Before the guy could finish the one, it's like, oh, bore. And everyone's like, alarmed, what's happening? And they go, Bapa suche. Swami ke Thakurji dekhaish? Thakurji dekhaish? So everyone said, Bapa, look, everything's been taken care of. Yogajan Sai personally came. He told him, Bapa, maid joyu che, Thakurji dekhai. So I ke emne. So ke Bapa ke. Swami ke jare zoom kare. Tyare Thakurji dekhai. When the cameraman zooms in, can Thakurji be seen then? He goes, na Bapa, ye to na dekhai na. Ye to pashi tamai dekhao. So Swami ke man Thakurji at khoda mapo. Give him on my lap. So they said, Bapa, why? Swami ke zoom thai ne, to Thakurji dekhawa જોઈએ. Swami, એટલું બધું detail. હવે આખો પ્રસંગ પોતું 5 ઓલા પ્રશ્નોનો જવાબ આવી ગયો. Everything ended. He blessed the 2 cameramen and the reporter. And then Swami went back into his room. And, later that evening after dinner, Santos was sitting there. They asked him, Bapa, tame Thakurji nu bahut dhyan rakho. You look after Thakurji so much. And Pramukh Swami says, ke Thakurji apru dhyan rakhe. God is looking after us. Swami said, we are nothing. If people see Thakurji, God in the TV, the whole nation will be happy. People's lives will be more prosperous and progressive and happy and peaceful. Everything and anything, it's God, not us. So like I said, for us, we have that utmost trust and faith in Him. But He je faith chene, His love and trust e Bhagwan che. And that makes you feel that whenever He says something, whether we understand it, comprehend it, if it's something that is out of our bounds and we can't accept it, but we have to believe for a fact. કે એ ભગવાન એમના દ્વારા બોલે છે અને જે કંઈ મને તમને કહે છે ને એ આપણા સારા માટે જ છે. Whether we like it or not. And that, like you mentioned, surrenderance. True surrenderance is not just physically giving yourself. It's giving your mind and your soul together. Now that's not weakness. That is not at all weakness. There's a strength. Because then God takes over. The Guru takes over. So that which all of us know. Yeah, sorry.
So what you just illustrated, I think there's one word that we're all used to would be karta-panu. Is that kind of fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. The all-doer.
So in the word karta-panu, we've talked about surrendering, but it seems like in poetry, there's always an underlying message, right? So in this kirtan, rasiya Sharan Tihārī, surrendering, yeah, maybe the main topic or the main message here. But I feel that there's a hidden message that once you surrender, the next step of accepting that surrenderance or that refuge at God's feet or ekandik sant is then you need to experience karta-panu. So if you experience karta-panu, then that makes your surrenderance, I guess, validated. So tell us a little bit about how karta-panu works, but also, we've heard the analogy. What do bad things happen to good people, right? In that stage, how do you keep calm, or barafni paat apna matha par muki devi? But how do you keep that calmness in a time like when something bad does happen after you've sought that refuge? I think that's a question society struggles with, but even as satsangis, sometimes we question, why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to my friend? Why did this happen to my family? Or just in worldly affairs, why is this happening?
This question was asked to Pujya Swami many years ago in London. And the person who asked the question, Atmaswarup Sai, asked him the question back, so why do good things happen to bad people? The guy just froze.
Classic
But
question that
yeah, again, like you said, society, people, all of us, right? We feel at times that either God's being biased or he's favoring somebody else and not us. We're doing our sadhanas. But Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he once answered a question like this. Swami Shri said that it's our perspective. At the end of the day, how we see life, right? Because we feel that bad things are happening to good people, but also in their lives, the bad that has happened to them has also been either a meaningful episode or an event for them that has brought them up to even better success or even joy and harmony. Swami Shri was saying to us that, like a doctor, right? Say you take your daughter, she's fallen ill, and you take her to the doctor, and the doctor is just going to give her an injection. It's a young daughter you have, say 2-3-year-old, and to her, that doctor and that injection seem very vicious and evil. But she doesn't realize that what the doctor is giving her is going to make her better. The experience may be daunting and may be frightful for her. But at the end of the day, the doctor only wishes, and even the parent taking her to the doctor only wishes that my child becomes better. તો બાપા કહેતા કે આવું જ્યારે થાય છે ને તો ભગવાન છે ને sometimes he gives you a very bitter pill just to make you better, a bitter experience just to make you better. And again, perspective and reality. So even in bad experiences, there's always a good. Like they say, there's always light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes we do so much sadhana, bhakti, tapasya, we do it. And then we still come across some ill experience or a bad, experience. It's our mind telling us, Kim Bhagwan naam kare. But we don't reflect upon all the good that he's done. We don't reflect upon all the, happiness that Bhagwan has brought our way. You're a rich man, but then, you get diabetes. તમને rich જ ભગવાને બનાવ્યા છે. Then you can't say કે મને diabetes કેમ આપ્યો. એ ભગવાનની ઈચ્છા. So એ બંને ભગવાનની ઈચ્છા છે. So like Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he said in a shiva in Vidyanagar 98, સ્વામી કે કોઈ કોઈનું બગાડતું નથી, કોઈ કોઈનું સુધારતું નથી. બધું ભગવાન જ કરે છે. એ સારા માટે જ કરે છે. દુઃખ આપીને પણ સારું કરે છે અને સુખ આપીને પણ સારું કરે. Now if we ponder again, it will take hours for us to really, really go into depth with this. But our samjhan and this understanding itself is so apt. And we see it in Bapa's life, the simplest things. He did good all his life. He never did bad. Right? 24th of September, which is coming up. On that day in 1985, Pramukh Swami Maharaj was asked by Brahma Vihari Swami that, Bapa, which thought have you always had in your life? And Swami Shri said, Bhagwan Bhajwana Bhajava. But Swami Shri said to him that, shall I tell you that one thought that I've never had in my life? And we all know the prasang in which Pramukh Sai said, કે મને ક્યારે કોઈનું અહિત કરવાનો વિચાર નથી આવ્યો. That I've never had the thought of hurting or harming anybody in my life. Now when you think of that, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, genuine, doing good of all, thinking good of all, even he had to go into a bypass operation. Why? At that time he didn't feel કે ભગવાન મેં મહારાજ બધું સરસ જ કર્યું, તમારી આજ્ઞા પ્રમાણે રહ્યો, શાસ્ત્રી યોગી બાપાને રાજી કર્યા છે. I've looked after all your Hari Bhaktas. And why me? And Swami, at that time he even said કે આ ભગવાનની ઈચ્છા. કે એ પણ ભગવાનની ઈચ્છા છે. When you say why do bad things happen to good people, he was the best. And yet something like this happened. Swami operations Nivat Swami kari, abadi kari. But even reflect in the world. There are people who feel that we are answerable to God. Like Arthur Ashe, right? Arthur Ashe, the tennis player. Unfortunately, he contracted AIDS through a blood transfusion. And, the world got to know that he had AIDS, and being a Wimbledon champion, he was a hero and a model for so many youngsters around the world. Even we've seen him play when we were back home. And, one of the letters came from a girl to him that, why did God choose you for this illness? Why you? And he's written a wonderful reply, which it's quite long, but I'll just shorten it. He replies back saying that in the world, 5 million people, they start playing tennis. And then he breaks it down, 500,000, they learn tennis. 50,000, they go into professional tennis. 5,000, they enter Grand Slams. 50 go into Wimbledon. 4 go into the semi-finals. And only 2 in the finals. And 1 winner. So when I held the prize, the trophy of winning the Wimbledon, I did not ask God, why me? So I should not ask him now, God, AIDS, why me? Look at the perspective. A very nice person, something bad happened to him. He didn't lose his faith. In the end of the day, like Pramukh Sai said, good and bad, whatever happens, success, failure, happiness, misery, anything and everything, એ ભગવાનની ઈચ્છાથી જ થાય છે, ગુરુની ઈચ્છાથી જ થાય છે.
It's funny you bring up, known names. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was reading something on Nelson Mandela. Unfortunate, he was imprisoned for many years in South Africa. People actually visit his cell to understand a little bit better of what the living conditions were like. But I think what I read, and don't quote me on this, is that he was confined roughly in about a 5x3 or something very small, no more than 15, 20 square feet. And the day he was going to be released, a reporter asked him that, you're being released today. And when you walk out of this cell, a normal man would walk out with grudges, resentment, and a plan of retaliation in different formations, etc. What are the thoughts crossing your mind when you were exiting this cell? He said, I'm leaving it all in the cell, because if I don't leave it there, I'm not going to be a changed man, and whatever's happened has happened, and I need to now progress into something else. After he leaves the cell, he also comes to India and visits the Gandhi ashram, from what Brahmir Swami mentioned to me once, that he wanted to find solace or be in the presence of those who fought for the righteousness or right cause, and feel their pain, but also feel their positivity. And it's, to your point, Arthur Ashe, Nelson Mandela, and then I'm sure there's numerous other people. But if you walk away with that resentment, where you can't come to the notion that whatever has happened, things happen for a reason, right? That quote is very famous. Whether you believe in something, God, sun, or not, everyone says it happens for a reason. And it's just fascinating to know that our guru, or gurus, I should say, all the way from Bhagavad Maharaj, Shastri Yogi Maharaj, and even to now Mahant Swami, that whatever is happening is the wish of Bhagwan and the Ekantik Sant.
One thing that's interesting about our principle or concept of sarva-kartā-panu, this is a Sanatan Dharma concept that Bhagwan, God, and his Ekantik Sadhu, they're sarva-kartā, they're all-doers. But we never take that statement on its own or alone. In Satsang Diksha as well, Mahant Swami Maharaj, and you said it as well, it's become part of our just vernacular, is that whatever is happening due to God's will and his ichcha. And જે પણ કંઈ થાય છે એ મારા સારા માટે થાય છે, મારા હિત માટે થાય છે. Whatever is happening for my betterment. And so in our the way we've grown up in satsang, thinking about it, the way that it's to be understood from our scriptures, the way Mahant Swami Maharaj is documented in Satsang Diksha, it's never just that God is the all-doer. It's that God is the all-doer, and whatever he's doing is for our betterment. And I think that enables us to, when we think about doing surrenderance, when we think about taking refuge in God or giving ourselves to God, the way Premanand Swami did, it's in coming from a place of love and affection that's common. God showering us with love and compassion. We also reciprocate that. And we are also surrendering to him because we know that he's the all-doer. But that all-doer doesn't weigh us down. That all-doership, that sarva-kartā-panu, it doesn't feel like a weight. It feels like a blessing. And that enables us to do the surrenderance through love. And I think that's something that's really, I think that's common between all the experiences that we've shared. I think that's common in Premanand Swami's kirtan. You see that even when he says, in the beginning, he goes, Ho rasiya, meto Sharan tihari. I'm at your refuge. But the way he calls Maharaj is rasiya. It's such a loving term. It's a term of affection. He's not saying something like, oh, I'm subservient to you. It's, I love you and I'm surrendering to you. And I think that's a very interesting concept of how we think about sarva-kartā-panu and our Swaminarayan Siddhanta.
So, as Rashmi just, I think, ended quite nicely, the things that we learn from Premanand Swami's life, as we mentioned, is firstly is the deep humility. That's what Pramukh Swami used to say is the first step of satsang. You have to be very humble because not everything you see here or outside will always fall in your liking. So humility is very important, and Premanand Swami's bhajan, like he mentions in between, "May ati dina barak tum sharane." Okay, all of us are like a humble child in front of God, in front of the Guru. That's our first step. The second we learn from the bhajan, as he mentioned, is nahi sadhana bala vachana chaturi. That, pure surrenderance you see in that couplet, in that 2 lines. We have to surrender ourselves in totality, mind, body, and soul, and at the same time be totally wedded to God, that He is the doer. That whatever happens, good or bad, it is done with the will of God, with the will of the Guru. And as I mentioned, that they only do everything and anything for our good and our benefit. As you said in Satsang Diksha as well, Mahant Swami Maharaj no shlok che. So Sharanagati is a blend of humility and fullest acceptance of the kartā-panu of God. And if that is a part of our satsang life, it not only helps us progress in satsang, but even in our daily lives, wherever we are, I'm sure through the blessings of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj, Guru Hari Mahant Swami Maharaj, all of us, we will be happy always. Karan ke Pramukh Swami Maharaj, he once said ke Shiji Maharaj ne karta harta samajva, એની અંદર અનંત સુખ છે. And then he also said કે એ જ પરમ સમજણ છે અને વચનામૃતની અંદર એ જ પરમ કલ્યાણ છે. So Premanand Swami has been a shining example for us, I think. And you said to me why I was fond of him. I do think that there's so much you and I can learn from his life, and we pray at the feet of Premanand Swami as well as our gurus and our Ishtadev Bhagwan Swaminarayan, that we can all together help each other through these goshtis, these moments of satsang, to better ourselves day by day, earn the rajipo of our gurus and the sakshatkar of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Ni Jai.